Kemba Walker, a part of this starting crew for the U.S., who has really been the consistent leader on this team for a U.S. team and a program that's going for 59 straight wins in international competition with NBA players, up against a France team coming off a very difficult, challenging loss to the likes of Australia.
Yeah, and they played really well in that game. It was a terrific game against Australia. They had the lead late in the game, and Australia came away with it. But the depth of their team and the size of their guards make them a very tough team to guard. So that'll be our challenge in this game.
The U.S. coming off victories over Greece and Brazil in the second round, the #1 seed. The starters for France, that includes Rudy Gobert, the two-time reigning NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Winner of this game advancing to the semifinals. And it will be the U.S. to control, a U.S. team that has had struggles offensively, averaging 87 points per game in this tournament. As Walker loses the handle, so an early turnover to start the game for the U.S.
Yeah, and the ball pressure by France is really strong. Ntilikina is very good at applying pressure and picking up full court, so that's something they have to be aware of.
In that game against Australia, we saw 15 lead changes, 17 ties, a France team that shot 57% from the floor in the two-point loss to Australia. As Evan Fournier, member of the Orlando Magic, at the point. And the floater goes
right
down.
There where Fournier uses his body, very good at getting the defender on his hip and creating space and separation.
Fournier, the leading scorer for France at 21 points per game. He, along with Nando De Colo, who comes off the bench for France, has been one of the dynamic duos in the backcourt in this tournament, and Donovan Mitchell able to answer.
And we see right there where Gobert is dropped back below the free throw line, and that's the shot that they're going to be giving Mitchell and Walker, and that could be a great shot for them.
Ntilikina off the mark, rebounded by Mitchell. Mitchell's been a guy that Greg Popovich, the head coach for Team USA, has said many a times he's got to get some value leadership-wise, and we're seeing that, scoring the first 5 points.
And that's a good sign right there. He hasn't shot the ball well from the three in the tournament so far, but he's, as we know, a very explosive scorer, and they need to get him on track.
Averaging just 10 points per game in this tournament. Gobert off the bounce pass, and the rebound taken down by Kemba Walker. Walker, who signed that 4-year deal in the offseason with Boston. Off the miss by Mitchell, and France takes control in the first 2 minutes of this opening quarter. Fournier off the screen by Gobert, launching a three, and we're tied up at 5 early on.
Terrific player going to his left with pick and rolls, and they're going to have to get up on that shot.
It's been a two-man battle, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Fournier, who have scored all the points for the U.S. and for France so far in this first quarter. Here's Joe Harris in the lane, the floater off the mark. France 4-1 in this tournament. The U.S. has already qualified for the 2020 games in Tokyo. Gobert in the low post, a mismatch with Harris, and he draws the contact.
You know, what we're seeing right there is defensive transition. We have to get matched up better. And Joe Harris, offensively, has been a great addition to the starting lineup in terms of creating space for them. And that's the one big difference in FIBA. The lane is much more congested. You have to have shooting on the floor to open up the lane, much different than the NBA.
Rudy Gobert off the mark on the first free throw attempt. Just 8 points in 32 minutes. Had some foul issues in the loss to Australia. But that's a key difference.
Key. Yeah. If Gobert's in foul trouble, that'll be a huge advantage. If he stays out of foul trouble, his impact on the game is tremendous, and his shot blocking at the rim, he'll have the lane completely shut down.
Gobert 1 of 2 at the line. France with a 1-point lead in the knockout stage of the quarterfinals of the FIBA Basketball World Cup from China. Turner, long-range three, and Harris is there for the offensive rebound.
The U.S. has done a great job rebounding the ball throughout the tournament, and Harris has been very good.
Turner stripped of the basketball. Turnover forced by France's defense. Second turnover by the U.S. Fournier blocked by Turner. Harris spots up for three on the fast break and knocks it down.
That's where we're most effective, scoring off our defense. There's the block shot, open floor, and the U.S. has been very unselfish with the extra pass.
Harris, who was the most accurate three-point shooter in the NBA this past season, is shooting 56% from beyond the arc in this tournament. Fournier spots up for the short jumper. There's Turner with the rebound.
You see the ball pressure. Ntilikina's causing problems.
Walker, dribble drive with Gobert in his face. And a traveling violation, a turnover, the third for the U.S.
Yeah, and you see how strong Gobert is in there.
What do you make of the way that the first 4 minutes have gone for the U.S.?
Yeah, they're feeling each other out here. The one thing we saw in the last play, we went under on the pick and roll against Fournier, and that's something that's going to be could be a problem for us. And France does a very good job of flipping the screen, which will allow him to get downhill.
Well, defense has been the trademark for Greg Popovich in the U.S. Already France with struggles, 2 of 7 from the floor, and building that defense has created more offensive opportunities here for the U.S. in this tournament. As a foul away from the ball.
Defend him in multiple ways, pick and roll, dribble handoff, and we saw right there moving without the ball and catch and shoot. And that puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Gobert off the feed, able to get the contact. Gobert is an absolute force for this France team.
Puts a lot of pressure on the rim. The one thing that he does, and he does this extremely well with Utah, is he sprints out of his screens going to the rim, and putting pressure on the rim like that really opens up the floor, puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And we saw where Turner had to play 2 in that situation, and he was late in recovering back. But allowing the ball to the middle of the floor is a problem.
Turner heads to the bench with 2 fouls. Brook Lopez off the bench making his first appearance. Greg Popovich, 5-time NBA champion with the Spurs, the longest active NBA coach, and he had made mention through the process of building up this U.S. team, took a lot of chemistry with a lot of guys withdrawing, not a big names, not in this tournament, Steph Curry, LeBron James, but he has seen the cohesive unit really start to build the deeper the U.S. has run here.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's a great leader. This started way back with Jerry Colangelo and Mike Krzyzewski, and Pop is the perfect guy to take it over. And it takes time when you start off with the World Cup and just putting your roster together. But this team has come a long way from where it began.
Frank Ntilikina, who was the number 8 draft pick for the Knicks 2 years ago, who's had a strong showing in the World Cup, has given France the early 2-point lead. Harris to Lopez. He struggles from beyond the arc. Front rim that attempt.
And that's what they're counting on, is Lopez and Turner pulling Gobert away from the basket. We saw Australia do that with Baines, and that'll be a key part of this game.
Fournier strong to the bucket, off the mark, but a foul underneath. That'll go against France.
Fournier's his size and his ability to penetrate is causing problems. Very good going to his left.
Gobert called for the foul. That'll be his first. Fournier, who is just the second French player ever to have scored 20 or more points in 3 straight games. And as mentioned, that backcourt for France is a key reason why they've been able to advance here to the quarterfinals. Andrew Albisi off the bench for France as Ntilikina takes a seat.
And a steal right there, Albisi, and that's what, something that he does extremely well. His ball pressure, along with Ntilikina, is causing problems.
A 6-0 run for France has them up 12-8 on the U.S. in this opening quarter. Winner advances to the semifinals on Friday. Lopez off the feed from Walker, and the struggles as of late continue for the U.S.
We haven't made our threes, and that's going to be a big part of this game. We've taken a lot of them throughout the tournament. We just haven't made a lot. But I like the shots that we're getting. I think they're wide open.
LBC, bounce pass, and a turnover for France.
Again, you see the ball pressure there, and they're picking up 94 feet, so that's causing some problems.
France 4-1 in this competition. The U.S. 5-0. The biggest scare came in their second matchup against Turkey, where they had to go to overtime thanks to Chris Middleton. And the floater by Marcus Smart off the bench has the U.S. within 2.
Smart has played better since he's come back, and he's, again, coming off an injury, so he's gotten stronger as the tournament's gone on. And he gives his team a lot of heart and toughness.
Missed the game against Japan.
Great defense by Walker.
LBC short iron that attempt. A chance for the U.S. to tie it or take the lead. Walker draws the contact, and he will go to the free throw line for 3 free throws.
Walker's been terrific throughout the tournament. Terrific leader, a very difficult guy to guard, knows how to create separation. That was a great step back move there, and again, drawing fouls, particularly on the 3. I think NBA players are very adept at drawing the contact and getting to the line, and shot value, that's as high as it gets.
Kemba Walker, who had a career year last year with the Hornets, put up 26 points per game. Now joining the Celtics off a 4-year deal of $141 million. You take a look at Turner on the bench with the 2 fouls.
And that's a big factor too. We have to mention Turner's shot blocking. He's been terrific as well. I think he has the potential to be a defensive player of the year in this league, in the NBA as well.
And for a U.S. team that's been undersized in this tournament, Turner's value, along with Lopez off the bench, has been invaluable in this run for the U.S. Walker, that free throw giving the U.S. the lead. As Middleton checks in for the first time, Derek White as well for the U.S. One side note as well, Tibbs, the health of Jason Tatum has missed the last 3 games because of that ankle injury. Was not out for late warm-ups for the U.S. More than likely will not play. That according to Brian Windhorst.
Yeah, I think that's a big hit for them. They need his scoring. He's an elite scorer and was playing really well prior to the injury. And another guy to mention is Kuzma. I think him getting hurt also hurt the U.S. But the one thing is it gives the opportunity to some other guys. I like the way Derek White has played. And Middleton has played really well for them as well.
Middleton off the mark on that jumper. He, along with Walker, the only 2 All-Stars on this U.S. squad. A 1-point lead with under 3 minutes to go in this opening quarter of the quarterfinals. Greg Popovich having used a lot of depth so far. 10 players have played in this first quarter, and yet France answers on the bucket by Mbaye. And it's a 14-13 lead for France.
See Gobert up a little bit more on pick and roll.
Smart with the 3, and the U.S. takes a 2-point lead. The 8th lead change thus far in this first quarter we've seen, Tibbs.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is, I think Smart coming in, he's always providing a spark to his team, and usually it's defensively, so this is a plus offensively with him making shots.
Fournier has it back into the hands of Batum. And a foul away from the ball. Here with 1:52 left to go in this opening quarter.
We haven't seen the U.S. downsize yet. We may get a look at that soon, where they'll spread out with Barnes at the 5, and that may speed up the game.
Tom Thibodeau, John Brickley with you. Brian Windhorst as well. FIBA Basketball World Cup quarterfinal matchup between France and the U.S. Winner of this game will advance to the semifinals on Friday versus Argentina. There was a shot clock issue, so that was the reason for the stoppage. With 1:52 left to go in this opening quarter. France, who is 4-1 in this competition, ranked number 3 by FIBA. The U.S. 5-0. after wins over Brazil and Greece in the second round.
Swarming defense by the U.S., very good.
DeColo with the floater off the bench, and that is a trademark of his first 2 points of this game. We're tied up at 16. Great feed down low from Middleton, able to find Jaylen Brown, who gets his first 2 points.
And we saw DeColo on that last play. He's very good in the pick and roll, making the bottom big commit to him, and if you don't, he'll score.
DeColo trying to set up for Gobert. DeColo and Fournier, who have been a backcourt to contend with for France, a key reason why they've been able to put up 89 points per game, their highest since the '86 World Cup, and a shot clock violation.
We're playing a swarming defense and shrinking the floor well, applying good, strong ball pressure, and that's been the trademark of this team thus far.
And their defense has been so stellar, Tibbs. It's really shadowed any kind of inconsistencies with being undersized this year for this type of team.
Yeah, they're playing great team defense, and usually that's the case with the first time around with the World Cup team. You start off, your defense is way ahead of the offense, and I think the offense is starting to catch up now. But this has been built on their defense and their rebounding.
Offensive foul. That goes against Middleton. That's the 5th U.S. turnover, as the U.S. with a 2-point lead under a minute to go in this first quarter of the quarterfinals.
And we can see that the U.S. is downsized here with Barnes at the 5, Middleton at the 4. The speed of the game will change here. Good ball pressure there.
DeColo at the point.
Very good flipping screens.
On the baseline, Gobert strong to the basket, fouled up his own shot, and ties it up at 18. 5 points for Gobert.
We're seeing 5-out offense here. Spread them out, and then drive and kick. Gobert matched up against Jaylen Brown.
Brown, left hand, too strong. White trying to track down the loose rebound, and it will be with France with 12.2 left on the clock.
Derek White has had a very strong tournament for them. He's really emerging as an excellent player. Great size, can handle the point, very good attack in the zone.
We saw how good White was last year in the first round of the postseason versus the Nuggets. In game 3 of that series, put up 36 points to lead the way for the Spurs. And the final shot.
There.
As France and the U.S. winner moving on to the semifinals. It's been a battle so far. 8 lead changes as we're tied up with 18. Start of the second quarter as the U.S. and France tied up at 18. John Brickley alongside Tom Thibodeau, Brian Windhorst, as the FIBA World Cup from China quarterfinal matchup between France and the U.S. Winner will move on to face Argentina coming up on Friday.
Very strong defensive first quarter by both teams. Ball pressure has been very strong, and it's causing problems. The turnovers by our guards are hurting us.
Alex Toupin to the free throw line for France. Last foul was against Jaylen Brown, his first. U.S. getting early contributions from the likes of Miles Turner and Donovan Mitchell, as the U.S. trying to go for an unprecedented 3rd straight World Cup title. Tibbs, you were part of that 2014 team that knocked off Serbia under coach Mike Krzyzewski. So this U.S. team, a lot more pressure this year. Survived a scare against Turkey in the opening round. Had impressive wins against Greece and Brazil. But here they are in the quarterfinals, trailing by 1 to France.
Yeah, and I think in the World Cup and in these tournaments, because of the length of the game, which is a big difference from an NBA game, 48 minutes to 40 makes it a much shorter game. You're going to have some close games. You have to navigate through those. And I think as the tournament goes on, usually the U.S. will get a lot stronger, particularly on the offensive end where your timing and spacing comes into play.
2 quick fouls against the U.S. That one against White, picking up his first. White, who is entering his 3rd season with the Spurs under Greg Popovich. has been one of those key role players off the bench. But yet this is a U.S. team that's been undersized. Their defense has been their trademark. And as you pointed out earlier, Tibbs, it takes a while for the chemistry to build with a team in a month's span.
Yeah, it does. And as I said, they're spending a lot of time together. This is interesting because France has remained big while the U.S. is small, and they're trying to create a matchup inside, posting up, and it's been effective so far.
DeColo with the last three for France as White off the feed from Middleton, able to come up with the bucket.
And that's the advantage that you get. You're spread out, 5-out offense, attack off the dribble, create penetration, great cut, finish.
Albisi at the point.
There's another post up.
Matthias Lessort off the bench for France gets his first 2 points, and it's a 4-point lead for France at 24-20.
Again, 5-out offense. Barnes, great cut again.
As White comes down with the slam dunk off the feed from Harrison Barnes, and the U.S. continues to be in striking distance. Barnes, who brings that veteran experience from international competition, having won gold at the Rio Games back in 2016. Albisi with the three, and what a back-and-forth battle we're seeing between France and the U.S.
Albisi's a spark plug for them as well. His defense on the ball is very strong. You see White here with a lot of poise, very strong, protects the ball.
Largest lead for France at 5. We're starting to see the offenses pick up for both of these teams. And Albisi comes in as a sharpshooter from beyond the arc tip, shooting 66%.
And that shot was challenged well by White, and he made a tough shot.
Just like the U.S., we've seen France with a balanced scoring attack. It's Kemba Walker back into this game, the floor general for this U.S. team, who, as mentioned, already qualified for the Tokyo Games next year. Brown, and one.
Right now, we have a quickness advantage, and looking to spread them out, create driving opportunities, and I think this is huge for us.
What do you make of the playmaking ability of Jaylen Brown? One thing that was noticed with the Tatum injury was the type of role that Brown has been able to bring to this team, a real spark off the bench.
I think this is huge for the Celtics to have 4 players on the team, and Jaylen Brown is a bright young talent for the Celtics, and he's just getting better and better, and I think he's building a lot of confidence off of this. He's an attacking player, very difficult to guard.
DeColo spotting up from 3 off the mark. Middleton there for the rebound. And the U.S. wants to run. Will stay possession with the U.S. To go back to Brown, Pop has said that he has been one of the more unselfish players on this team, and even his teammates have come up with the nickname Jalen the Creator because he's that unselfish.
Yeah, they've done this small unit has done a great job attacking and making plays for each other, and I think Pop has really delivered that message to make plays. Right there, he had some open guys on the perimeter. He probably could have kicked that one out, but he's been very unselfish throughout the tournament. And I think that the ball pressure right now that we're seeing, and sometimes that's another adjustment. It's a lot more physical in FIBA, what guards are allowed to do in terms of physicality, and that's something that you have to deal with.
Walker off the inbounds, corner 3. Walker, who's been the most consistent scorer, at 15 points per game for the U.S., who trail right now by 2 to France in this quarterfinal matchup.
Again, the ball goes into the post. They're playing through the post and getting high percentage shots.
And you can tell the physicality for France as well has started to pick up, especially in this second quarter. The U.S., who began with a victory over the Czech Republic, followed it up with an overtime win over Turkey. Their most decisive win came against Japan, as Smart or I should say Donovan Mitchell hits the deck hard for the U.S. And yet, against Greece, offensive struggles at times, seem to really collaborate everything against Brazil. And here we're seeing a France team that we knew going in would be a very challenging matchup for the U.S.
Yeah, and I think that this game is being played at a different tempo by France than the way they played against Australia. And I think we're trying to speed the game up. Now we're big again with Turner back in, but getting Mitchell going downhill is huge. It's one of the things he does very well with Utah. But I think getting to the line some will help him. But we need him to score and put pressure on the defense.
Mitchell, who put up 24 points per game last year with the Jazz, entering his third season with Utah. A lot of hype around the Jazz with Gobert, Mitchell. Team went out and picked up Bojan Bogdanovic as well as Michael Connolly. And so there's a lot of weapons to be used for Utah coming in, as Mitchell now with 7 points to lead the way, as the U.S. a perfect 6 of 6 from the free throw line to tie it up at 27 apiece.
Kemba Walker has really picked up his defense in this tournament also.
Mitchell, the steal, leads to the fast break, and the U.S. has taken back the lead thanks to a 7-0 run.
That's what we need. We need some more scoring off of our defense, getting stops, get into the open floor, take advantage of our athleticism. Fournier, very good, very physical.
Fournier, who scored the first 5 points for France, back into this game, and the long-range jumper drops. If you're the U.S. defensively, how do you adjust to stopping him?
Turner has to come up on that. Smart is an excellent defender. He'll apply good ball pressure, but our bigs have to give more support.
DeColo called for the foul. That'll be his first. Of note as well in FIBA competition, there is no mandatory timeouts. Teams will take timeouts, and unlike the NBA where the players call the timeouts, the coaches here call timeouts. So we haven't seen yet a mandatory timeout taken by either team, as France with 4 fouls in this second quarter.
Little zone there, wide open.
Mitchell missing on the 3 as Fournier comes down with the rebound.
That's the other thing. In FIBA, you probably get away with a little more in terms of moving screens. Those would be all fouls in the NBA, but that's not the way it's called here.
Taps into the physical play that we've seen in international competition. Gobert once again fouled up his own shot. He now has 7 points. Him and Fournier have been the offensive weapons for France, who has a 2-point lead. Walker at the point. Was able to draw the double team. Long 3 as Smart misconnects on that shot.
Those are all good looks. You keep taking those shots.
Ntilikina mishandled the basketball. Turnover, the 5th committed by France. And again, the U.S. wants to run. Mitchell, strong move. Turner tried to get the offensive rebound.
Got a mismatch inside.
Ntilikina spotting up for 3. And a foul underneath the basket.
Mitchell and Gobert, teammates, got caught in a mismatch there.
Harris and Brown are going to check in for Greg Popovich. As Barnes takes a seat. Brown, over his last 3 games, has been averaging 13 points per game, had the 20-point performance against Japan, and as you alluded to, Tibbs, one of 4 players from the Celtics on this roster. DeColo trying to go from behind.
Again, you see if you go under on the screens, Gobert very good flipping the screen, and then they're downhill, and it's a problem. That's one thing. Gobert puts a lot of pressure on the rim.
So a timeout taken And the U.S. and France, a hotly tested quarterfinal battle. France up by 2. We're back in a moment. 31-29 lead on the U.S. in this quarterfinal matchup. John Brickley, Tom Thibodeau, and Brian Windhorst from China as we set the stage for this quarterfinal matchup. Winner advances to face Argentina Friday in the semifinals, and out of that timeout, what a shot by Fournier. That puts him into double figures. And here's France up by 5 thanks to a 7-0 run.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, your baseline defense is critical. In FIBA, unlike the NBA, you have many more out-of-bounds plays from the baseline than you do side out-of-bounds. That was a tough shot by Fournier.
Walker looking to answer for the U.S. His struggles continue in this second quarter.
That's a good look. It's a wide-open shot. We have to keep taking those. Gobert way back on that.
Fournier in the lane. Gobert hit from behind, and the U.S. has been trying to contend with the reigning 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
They're getting downhill on the pick and rolls. Dribble handoff. Tough shot there.
A reminder as well, the WNBA playoffs tip off tonight. Doubleheader on ESPN2 and on the ESPN app. High stakes, both games, single elimination. You got the Mercury taking on the Sky at 8 Eastern, and then the Lynx is going to battle with the Storm. Meanwhile, for the U.S., it's been a battle as France's offensive output has surged in this second quarter thanks to the likes of Evan Fournier and Rudy Gobert. Largest lead for France now, a 36-29 advantage in this quarterfinal. In the first meeting between these two teams since 1963. In fact, France has never faced an American opponent in a knockout stage. As Mitchell, crossover dribble and an answer for the U.S. That puts him into double figures with 11. And that's the kind of scoring output you want to see from Donovan Mitchell.
Dribble handoff, good pressure.
Reset for France with 8 left on the shot clock. Fournier, top of the arc 3. Into the hands of Mitchell for the U.S.
Got to make sure we stay into his body.
Great feed on the run to Jaylen Brown, and the U.S. with quick 4 points. As Brown with 7 gets the U.S. back to within 3.
Good pressure by Harris on DeColo.
The U.S. defensively have to contend with Fournier, DeColo. A very difficult, challenging backcourt. Fournier spots up for 3 and knocks it down.
He's getting too much. He's getting to wherever he wants to. So he's getting to his spot. We're too far back. Getting over the top on the pick and roll.
Fournier
shot.
Now with 13 to lead France. A timeout taken by the U.S. with France up by 6. (39-33) lead for France, looking to get to the semifinals. And Tibbs, one of the concerning points for the U.S. in this first half has been rebounding. +8 in favor of France, and only 2 offensive rebounds for the U.S. How do they change that?
Yeah, it's a big concern. And the one thing France did, they stayed big when the U.S. went small, and they took advantage of us there. But when we do go small, we have to make sure we're gang rebounding, and we have to block out and hit people and then fight for the ball. But offensively, we got to get going as well.
Joe Harris coming out of that timeout, scoring for the U.S., and a foul that will put Rudy Gobert to the free throw line. And more importantly, Miles Turner has just picked up his 3rd foul in this first half.
That's huge.
And size has been an issue for the U.S. Greg Popovich has specifically gone without a center in his starting lineup throughout this entire tournament.
And it's a good change-up to change speed, the speed of the game, and create driving opportunities. But Turner is such a big factor for the team with his shot blocking and then, of course, his shooting ability to open up the floor. So that's a big hit for us. Gobert is playing really well, putting a lot of pressure on the rim.
So they gave the foul actually to Joe Harris. That'll be the first against the Nets guard, and so Turner still has 2 fouls to deal with in this first half as France looking to build upon this lead with Gobert at the free throw line as he knocks down both. And that puts him into double figures now with 11. Again, the news about Jason Tatum was not out for late warm-ups for the U.S., unlikely to play in this game. Has missed the last 3 because of the ankle injury that he suffered in the victory in the opening round against Turkey. Nice. Mitchell, great dribble drive off glass and in. There. Mitchell coming to life offensively in this game for the U.S. now with 13.
That hesitation against Gobert made Gobert go back and created the space for him to get that shot off.
Fournier, 13 points to lead France.
We have to get an answer for Fournier.
Bounce pass by Batum to Gobert. Once again draws the contact with 6 left on the shot clock. You can tell in this first half, Tibbs, what the game plan has been for France. Feed it into Rudy Gobert, and the U.S. defensively has had their struggles against.
Gobert's been very active, setting screens, flipping the screens against people who go under, and then sprinting out of the screen, putting pressure on the rim, which is causing a lot of problems for us. Our weak side has to react and pull in on that, but we need better ball pressure. And the other thing with Fournier, we got to get into him more.
Gobert with that made free throws, now 8 of 9 from the free throw line. As France takes now a 5-point lead with under a minute to go in this first half. Coming off a year where he averaged a double-double for the Jazz and earned a 2nd straight NBA Defensive Player of the Year honor, and more importantly, he's got France up by 6. Mitchell looking to feed, gives it off to Brown. The Celtic star driving too strong off the glass, and about a 3-second difference between game clock and shot clock for France.
And that's what Gobert does in there. He gets people looking around. That I like this substitution. I like Smart being in the game here just to apply pressure.
And they're going to call Smart with the reach in. That'll be his first. Smart, who hit that incredible buzzer beater at the end of the 3rd quarter in the victory against Brazil. As De Colo goes to the free throw line, as France now in the bonus situation.
Those guards are putting a lot of pressure on us, De Colo and Fournier.
De Colo, who was nearly perfect against Australia, had 26 points on 11 of 16 shooting. Was a part of the Spurs team under Pop that made it to the finals back in 2013 against the Heat.
The one thing with both De Colo and Fournier is that they have great size, and they know how to use their body. They get you on their hip. They're going to hold you there, and it puts the big in a pickle. You know, you have to get back in front, and you have to be able to challenge their shots.
Largest lead for France, 45-37, as the U.S. is going to hold for the final shot here with 6 seconds left to go in this first half. Mitchell drives with the left hand off glass and in, and the U.S. needed some type of momentum going into the break. Mitchell with 15 points. But the bigger story has been Gobert and Fournier for France, each with 13 points. It's France at the half with a 45-39 lead. The other semifinal, or I should say quarterfinal matchup, is going to feature the Czech Republic and Australia. The U.S. team that their last loss was in the 2006 semifinals of the World Cup Championships. That was after losing to Greece, as Turner comes out and a good start to begin this 3rd quarter for the U.S.
Right there. That'll pull Gobert away from the basket. They need more of that. I thought the U.S. got wide open looks on their threes. They just have to knock them down.
Turner dealt with early foul trouble as Gobert with an emphatic dunk off the feed and the assist by Batum. So a 47-41 lead, and now an offensive foul against Turner. Gobert was the recipient of that. And so Turner now picks up his 3rd foul.
Yeah, that's a tough call there. It's good deep post up. France is attacking the U.S. in the post.
Gobert with 15 points.
Good ball pressure.
Mbaye back into this game for France.
Batum challenge.
With a defender in his face, knocks it down. Joe Harris had a hand right in the face of Batum, who knocks down the shot, the three-pointer, and a chance to go for the 4-point play.
I don't know where the foul is there, but France has gotten a huge advantage at the free throw line.
They were 12 of 14 in the first half as Harris called for his second foul. Batum to the free throw line. Batum, who picked up his first points off that three-point shot, had 13 in the loss to Australia back in the second round. And he's had some veteran experience in this type of setting, was part of the France team that won bronze in the 2014 games that you were an assistant with Team USA, Tibbs, part of that gold medal run and the victory over Serbia.
Yeah, and John, you're making a good point there. I think the players on the French national team have been together a lot longer. So their chemistry is different. They're much further along offensively. And obviously, you're seeing with the defensive pressure they're putting on the guards, it's caused us problems.
A 10-point lead now for France as the U.S. with a quick answer off the jumper. Donovan Mitchell, who continues to carry the scoring load for the U.S. now with 17 points. Again, keep in mind, we saw it earlier. It's been 58 straight wins in international competition with NBA players. That is the streak that's on the line for this U.S. team in this single elimination knockout stage quarterfinal game. And if you're Greg Popovich, rotation-wise, what do you have to do to try to contend with what France has been able to battle with in this third quarter especially?
Yeah, I think the big thing is their defense. Right now they haven't been able to contain pick and rolls. Gobert's putting a lot of pressure on the rim. They're not into the ball. They're spread out. But they just got to keep working the game. But the one big difference with the FIBA game, it's a much shorter game. The U.S. players are used to a longer game where you can sort of pace yourself. Well, you can't do that here. You have to play hard on every possession.
A U.S. team that's continued to try to build the chemistry. Mitchell, that one looked to be partially blocked. This was a team in the U.S. that lost to Australia in an exhibition game as Gobert loses the handle of it, gives it back up to Mbaye, who's off the mark on the three-pointer, and the rebound by Walker. Walker, who's been kept quiet, 0 of 2 from the field, just 3 points, and a turnover by Brown. That is now the 6th turnover for Team USA.
You can see the impact that Gobert is having on the game. He's got the U.S. players looking over their shoulder. They're looking for him. He's causing a lot of problems at the rim.
You have to imagine the U.S. may have to get tighter, especially with the issues that Gobert has presented. And size was that big Achilles heel for the U.S. Undersized coming into this tournament, and now having to deal with it in the form of Gobert.
Yeah, and you can see they're trying to speed the game up here. Obviously, you have to get stops to get into the open floor to try to take advantage of that.
And to make matters worse, Kemba Walker, their most consistent scorer in this tournament, just picked up his 3rd foul. He has been a non-factor in this quarterfinal game for the U.S. as he'll take a seat on the bench. Marcus Smart comes back in for USA. An 8-point lead for France, winner to advance to Friday's semifinal. The push-off by Fournier. The 3 rattles in and out. Gobert, the offensive rebound, and a reset for France.
Marcus Smart with great defense on Fournier.
Fournier with the dribble drive. Strong right hand in the finish, and the lead back up to 10. And now a timeout taken by Greg Popovich and the U.S.
Yeah,
It's been all France in this game thus far, in contention with the U.S. up by 10, as we're back in a moment. Lines around this USA squad has been the teammates who did not show up, the likes of LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Then you had those who withdrew, Tobias Harris, along with Kyle Lowry, Kyle Kuzma's injury. They've only got 2 All-Stars on this team. Adjustment-wise, what are we going to have to see from this USA team down by 10 to France?
Well, I think defensively they got to get it together and then try to get stops and get into the open floor. But the pick and rolls and Fournier has really caused a lot of problems for us. I like the adjustment with Smart on him, but I think our bigs have to get up more. We're giving him too much space. He's attacking us and going downhill.
Mbaye called for his second foul. France has dominated the boards. They've got a plus 10 advantage. The U.S. has not had many second chance opportunities in this game, just 2 offensive rebounds. Kemba Walker has struggled on the floor, has not had a field goal made in this game for the U.S. down by 10.
We're seeing some zone here.
Smart off the feed from Barnes. Off the mark, Gobert crashes the boards with the rebound and is hit from behind.
It's a good shot, wide open. The problem with playing small is we are vulnerable on the board, and we did play the one sequence where Smart defended Fournier well. Gobert got the second shot, kicked it right out, gave him another possession, and that type of defense is not going to go.
And you can make the argument outside of Giannis with Greece, Rudy Gobert has been the most formidable big man that the U.S. has had to face in the interior in this tournament.
Yeah, no question in terms of impact on the game. I think if you looked at Utah's stats when Gobert is off the floor, you'd see the difference that he does make. And he has the same impact for France. And the whole key, I think, is you have to be able to pull him away from the basket. And if you're not making threes, that's a problem.
Middleton back in this game for the U.S. Smart at the point. Mitchell, long-range 3, knocks it down. That is the first made 3 for the U.S. since the first quarter of this game. And Mitchell, who is carrying the U.S. offensively now with 20 points.
He's got a real nice rhythm going. They got to go to him more. There's a little more aggression. Good rotation by Middleton, low man.
Ntilikina with the great move high off the glass and an answer for France. He's got 4 points.
He's playing with a lot more confidence. I like him. I think he's a good young player.
Middleton answers and fires off the 3. A career 39% three-point shooter is Chris Middleton. His first points, and the U.S. down by 6 at 55-49. The U.S. having won 48 straight in FIBA Olympic competition. They've won 58 in international competition with NBA players. Both those streaks in jeopardy because of the likes of that guy, Evan Fournier, now with 17 points.
And you could see his strength there, his ability to get the shot up. Very strong, get you on this hip, create space.
And Smart comes back with an answer, and he'll head to the free throw line. That may be the best way the U.S. has to attack the interior size of France.
They're getting some.
Knocks it down. That is the first made 3 for the U.S. since the first quarter of this game. And Mitchell, who is carrying the U.S. offensively now with 20 points.
He's got a real nice rhythm going. They got to go to him more. There's a little more aggression. Good rotation by Middleton, low man.
Ntilikina with the great move high off the glass and an answer for France. He's got 4 points.
He's playing with a lot more confidence. I like him. I think he's a good young player.
Middleton answers and fires off the 3. A career 39% three-point shooter is Chris Middleton. His first points, and the U.S. down by 6 at 55-49. The U.S. having won 48 straight in FIBA Olympic competition. They've won 58 in international competition with NBA players. Both those streaks in jeopardy because of the likes of that guy, Evan Fournier, now with 17 points.
And you could see his strength there, his ability to get the shot up. Very strong, get you on his hip, create space.
And Smart comes back with an answer, and he'll head to the free throw line. That may be the best way the U.S. has to attack the interior size of France.
They're getting some rhythm here. You can see his strength there, his ability to split people. Very strong player.
Fournier, the leading scorer for France at 21 a game. Meanwhile, Smart completes the three-point play, gets the U.S. to within 5. The theme of offensive inconsistency continues for the U.S. That's been a main storyline in this tournament. They came in averaging 87 points per game. Gobert with 5 on the shot clock. Mismatch with Brown. Left hand by Gobert, unable to capitalize. And Barnes able to draw contact.
Good defense by Brown on that, trying to take advantage of the mismatch.
Ntilikina called for his first.
Every time that the hoodie is there, somebody shouts for your bench. No, not you. I'm just telling you the guys. Tell them, okay?
That's part of the great access that we see at the FIBA
terrific.
Basketball World Cup is that the referees are mic'd. We'll see it numerous times when they go to the replay. They'll describe the replay in detail, what they're looking for.
Yeah, and then someone may have been pointing out the 3-second call. They're setting a pin down in the middle of the lane. They're never clearing.
You get the sense, Tibbs, right now at this point and this juncture of the game, if the U.S. is going to make a strike and a run, it's got to be right now in the form of that guy, Donovan Mitchell, 22 points to lead all scorers in this game. And more importantly, the U.S. are back within 3. On the line, a spot to the semifinals on Friday, where Argentina awaits after their victory over Serbia. Fournier with a quick response and a three-pointer.
Yeah, too much space there.
Fournier closing in on matching his average in this tournament, has 20 in the game. Brown going one-on-one with Gobert, and the strong move to the basket.
Penetration there, 5-out offense. Good finish.
9 points for Jaylen Brown. They work it down low to Gobert. Trying to find Fournier in the corner. Batum with 6 left on the shot clock.
Good challenge. Good, very good defense there.
That half-court defense working effectively for the U.S. A chance to get it within 2.
Nice.
Mitchell up and under. What a performance we're seeing from Donovan Mitchell.
Playing terrific, getting downhill. He's got great rhythm here.
24 points for the Jazz
finish.
star. And the U.S. making a run late, down 60-58 to France. What once was thought to be a lost cause for this U.S. team, Tibbs, has relied on the shoulders of Donovan Mitchell, has averaged 10 points per game in this tournament. Here tonight, though, 24 points. What's been the change in his game that you've seen?
Well, he started off early in the game and he made a 3, and I think that got him going offensively in terms of his confidence. But he's in a great rhythm. So I think getting some easy scores early probably helped him a lot. There's a reverse hand back. Good defense there.
U.S. wants to run. They're 8 of 11 shooting in this third.
Great attack.
Blocked from behind. Gobert on the shot attempt by Mitchell.
The U.S. has been able to count on their defense throughout the tournament. There's a good deflection, high hands, open floor.
Into the hand of Brown.
Great
Bounce pass ahead to Mitchell with the one-handed flush. And we are tied up at 60 as Donovan Mitchell, 26 points in this game.
I think Pop has found a group here that's very effective.
Talked about shortening up that rotation if you're Greg Popovich. The difference has been in the form of Donovan Mitchell. Fournier, off-balance shot. Gobert tried to just slap it in 3 times and able to tap it in. to give France the lead back.
And that small, they got to get 2 onto Gobert when the ball is shot.
That's now
side wing, got to pull in.
17 for Rudy Gobert. He and Evan Fournier have been the 2 stars of this game for France. Middleton looking to feed off the cut by White, knocked into Gobert.
Great hustle by White there.
You're seeing some great defense by the U.S. leading to fast break opportunities. And now the U.S. wants to settle play. Smart from the corner as he was fouled by Gobert.
White, great cut out of the corner. He's had several of those throughout the game. But blew the layup. But what you really respect is his effort to get back, and he got that steal down the other end.
Donovan Mitchell, who has rejuvenated the U.S. in this third quarter. Miles Turner, who's been ineffective based on the foul trouble, on the bench with 3 fouls. But here's Marcus Smart with a chance to tie it up at the free throw line for the U.S. The U.S. a perfect 8 of 8 from the free throw line in this quarterfinal game.
I think the big key is their defense now, and we're starting to see some deflections, high hands, ball pressure, and a swarming mentality. I think when we get second and third effort like that and then can get stops and into the open floor. Now the big thing is the rebounding. We can't emphasize that enough. We need gang rebounding, and we got to hit people.
Smart hits all 3 free throws, giving the U.S. their first lead since it was a 29-27 score midway through the second quarter. So now if you're the U.S., you've regained this momentum here, Tibbs. How do you keep it?
Well, I think closing this quarter out strong is critical. So the way they've done that is with their pressure, their high hands. They're up on people. They're swarming. But, again, the rebounding's the big thing. Watching Smart inside, he's as physical as they come, but he's got to chase that down.
Lesor tracking down the loose rebound.
Very difficult guy to post up.
Posting up against Marcus Smart with 8 on the shot clock and got bailed out with a foul. Smart picks up his second.
I understand that.
That was great post defense there.
Smart, who was named to the NBA All-Defensive First Team, one of 4 Celtics players on this roster. U.S. coming in 5-0, number 1 world ranked, the number 1 seed off wins over Greece and Brazil in the second round of this tournament. They've already qualified for the 2020 games next year in Tokyo.
Yeah, you just saw what Mitchell did. The ball is live on the rim. You can knock it off the rim. We haven't done that yet.
That's a difference in NBA rules compared to FIBA rules. As Middleton sets it up. Mitchell off the extra pass, gets the lucky bounce, and Donovan Mitchell with 29 points.
Great play there. The kick out on the offensive rebound, extra pass, wide open 3.
14 of his 29 for Donovan Mitchell coming in this third quarter. DeColo, kick out pass. Laborie missed off the mark.
Good throw ahead.
Middleton, strong, but too strong, and France will have a chance to cut into this deficit.
Good solid pressure.
DeColo. White wanted an offensive foul and does with the push-off by DeColo.
DeColo very clever in pick and rolls. Good hesitation, get you on his hip, downhill.
Instead went off the knee of DeColo, so possession either way will go to the U.S. with a 3-point lead in the final seconds of this third quarter. And again, what a change of pace it's been in this third quarter, led by the play of Donovan Mitchell. The U.S. trailed at the half, and yet have turned the tide in this third quarter to lead by 3.
Walker's very good in these situations.
And Walker has been ineffective in this game.
This Smart going to Mitchell.
Mitchell one-on-one with DeColo. Short iron, the jumper. And the final seconds tick away. Donovan Mitchell, however, has carried the U.S. 14 of his 29 coming in the third, and the U.S. takes a 3-point lead.
Them throughout the game, I think they found a group that was very effective. The only concern I have right now for the U.S. is the rebounding. And I see with Walker back, see if they can get him going, but I play through Mitchell when he comes back. Good attack.
Smart
downhill.
dribble drive, able to get contact on the way to the basket. Smart, one of those great role players that come off the bench for Team USA.
You can never underestimate the value that those guys have. He brings that team a lot of heart and toughness. He's a big spark plug. He's a catalyst. He got things going for them. He gives them a physicality that they need.
Smart goes to the free throw line. His 3 free throws late in the third quarter gave the U.S. their first lead since midway through the second quarter. And the U.S. has taken advantage at the free throw line, a perfect 10 of 10 in this game.
They just haven't gotten there enough, and that's a problem. And a lot of that could be attributed to Gobert being at the rim. They're not going as strong as they need to be.
Smart missing both free throws. Gobert, who's been a force in the interior. 11 rebounds to go along with his 17 points. And yet France trails by 3. DeColo driving baseline with the quick answer. 9 points for him, and the lead down to 1 for the U.S.
DeColo, great size, great downhill player.
Harrison Barnes. And he too will go to the free throw line, and the foul's going to go against Lesor. That'll be his third.
Good drive by Barnes, playing 5-out offense, middle of the floor open.
Barnes, who came into this game third on the team for the U.S. in scoring. Won a title with the Warriors back in 2015. A chance to extend the lead at the line for the U.S. But again, brings that veteran presence, having won gold at the Rio Games in 2016.
And I think that's a good point. He's been through it before. Great offensive rebound there, good extra pass.
Harris.
Wide open 3.
Barnes knocks down the 3. What a great sequence for the U.S.
No question about that.
And you saw Jason Tatum loving it with the U.S. now with their largest lead at 5. Tatum not playing in this game, a 4th straight game he has missed because of that ankle injury that he suffered in the victory against Turkey. France down to 5 on the shot clock. Fournier had to rush the shot.
Great effort there by Harris.
Saves it from going out of bounds, and now Walker wants to run in transition for the U.S. Smart,
good
great
play.
Feed to the open look of Middleton, unable to convert.
Smart, great effort there.
But an offensive rebound resets the offense for the U.S. Off the high screen, Walker, step back jumper, knocks it down.
There, smart basketball. Walker calling the 5 up, forcing the switch, creating the space, getting a wide open look there.
Kemba Walker with his first made field goal. Harrison Barnes knocking down the 3. U.S. on a roll. Us in English and Spanish at 11 Eastern. Undercard stream at 7:30 Eastern. To order the main card, go to espnplus.com/top rank. John Brickley, Tom Thibodeau, alongside with Brian Windhorst. Quarterfinal matchup, the U.S. a 72-65 lead on France as DeColo knocks down that jumper. But we saw a U.S. team, Tibbs, that struggled in the first half. What's changed the tide in the second half?
Yeah, I think the end of the third, the start of the fourth, the U.S., they're doing it with their hustle, their effort, their extra effort, multiple effort plays, offensive rebounding, kickouts, extra pass, wide open looks. But more importantly, or most importantly, is their defense. They're swarming, getting the ball stopped. Unfortunately, not right there, but Gobert back in, putting a lot of pressure on the rim. They got to pull in on that.
Gobert with a double-double in this game, 19 points, 11 rebounds to lead the way for France. The U.S., who has won 58 straight in international competition with NBA players, as Walker
offensive rebound.
Can't get the three to go down, but yet another offensive rebound, something we did not see the U.S. do effectively in the first half. And now an offensive foul away from the ball against Joe Harris.
Yeah, that's the second one that the U.S. has gotten like that. And Turner got one with Gobert. It's away from the ball. And, those are cheap calls.
Harris just picked up his fourth foul, and he will head to the bench. Ntilikina
Got to make sure you're up on him.
is back at the point, driving strong with the right hand. His play has really picked up in the World Cup compared to his first two seasons with the Knicks.
Yeah, he's grown. You can see his confidence coming on. His defense has always been his calling card, but now his offense, he's finishing much better. His pull-up game has improved. You can see his confidence is coming around.
He's got 6 points. France within 3. Middleton looking to answer. That one rattled in and out. Gobert there for the rebound.
Got the switch. Gobert in the post.
Gobert, the give off to DeColo. They're going to wave off the basket.
Coach, hey, sit down there. Sit down there. Wait down. No, we cannot do it. Coach, hey, we cannot reveal. We cannot reveal. Okay, coach. Okay. We cannot reveal. I understand
So
you're
on
upset,
the
but we
switch
cannot
there,
reveal,
Gobert
okay?
goes into the lane, and he never really comes out. It's a very generous 3 seconds that he's allowed to play with. But we have to be aggressive with that.
One of the great advantages of the FIBA Basketball World Cup is getting the referees mic'd up, getting a full explanation not only to the coaches but to the players as well. Possession will stay with France. Fournier drawing the foul.
The one thing we have to do is we have to square up better against Fournier and DeColo. They're getting downhill, and we're being caught on the side. That's something that has to be corrected.
France in the quarterfinals for the third time. Last time having beat Spain back in 2014. Gobert underneath the basket has to give it off. Three-point shot.
Good challenge. Good rotation there. U.S. very aggressive on Fournier that time in the pick and roll.
Give credit to the U.S. in this game, especially in the second half, been able to adjust. Fournier has not been a big of a factor as we saw in the first half. They've been able to limit the touches of Gobert and have a 3-point lead despite the fact that Kemba Walker, their most consistent scorer, has dealt with being a non-factor in this game.
Wants to call up Gobert.
And Walker draws the contact, will go to the free throw line as Batum called for his first.
Jaylen Brown not used to that, where he's being defended by the 5. And obviously Walker recognizes that. He wants to call him up to put him into the pick and roll. Smart play by Walker.
Walker with just 5 points, came into this game with 3 straight games of at least 15 points and 5 assists. An added addition to the Celtics in a busy offseason for Boston, signed a 4-year deal with the Celtics after spending the first 8 seasons of his career with the Hornets. Takes over for Kyrie Irving, who went to the Nets in the offseason, Al Horford, who went to the Sixers as well. But here for Team USA, he's been that floor general. 2 key free throws to extend the lead.
He's a great leader. The Celtics came out of the loss of Kyrie about as well as you can. Kemba's an all-star in his own right, and he's a terrific teammate. He's got a great demeanor. He's got a lot of mental toughness. He won't shy away from the big moment here going down the stretch.
Take a look at the great defensive effort on the block by Barnes. France has it with 13 on the shot clock, down by 5 in this quarterfinal game as the winner advances to face Argentina on Friday. Fournier way off the mark. Batum, though, right there for the offensive rebound, second chance points. He now has 6.
Yeah, loose ball there. Got to be aware.
Donovan Mitchell, a big third quarter, has been quiet here in the fourth. Spin around, off the mark, Gobert skies in for the rebound. Make that now 13 for Rudy Gobert. Ntilikina spots up and knocks down the 3.
Out there, too much.
Huge shot. He's now got 9. More importantly for France, it's tied up at 76 with under 4:30 left to go in this game.
Walker again.
Walker dribble drive. Step back, unable to get down, and his struggles continue in this game as Gobert picked up his 14th rebound.
Probably got to get back to Mitchell some.
Fournier weaves through traffic, gives it to an open DeColo.
Good block out, good rebound there.
Brown comes down with it and a chance for the U.S. to retake the lead on this possession. Walker, crossover dribble, strong to the basket, hits the deck hard and a foul. And it goes against Walker, which will be his 4th.
Walker calling up.
It's for Kemba Walker, just 7 points on 1 of 6 shooting in this game.
Got to count on her defense here going down the stretch.
Fournier at the point for France. Tied up at 76. Sees a lane and finishes with the left hand. And France will retake the lead at 78-76. Fournier with 22 points. Now France has the lead thanks to a 7-0 run. The U.S., their last loss back in the 2006 semifinals of the World Cup Championship. Barnes traveled with the basketball.
The ball's got to find its way into Mitchell's hands now. Big late game score.
A lot of uneasiness for the U.S. fans that made their way to this game. A quarterfinal game where France set the tone early, had the lead at the half. The U.S. came on strong in the third quarter, and yet France has been able to rally and take a 2-point lead.
Good switch.
Down low, Gobert with the two-handed flush. 21 for Rudy Gobert, along with 14 rebounds. Greg Popovich wants a timeout. France rolling with the momentum, up by 4.
Terrific play there.
France a 9-0 run with 2:52 left to go in this game. A 4-point lead on the U.S., who has won 58 straight in international competition with NBA players. That streak is in jeopardy. The streak of 48 straight wins in FIBA and Olympic competition is also on the line as well. If you're the U.S., what do you have to do to stop Rudy Gobert and, more importantly, get the momentum back on your side, Tibbs?
Yeah, I think the big thing, they got to come out of this timeout, score, stop, score, get this thing tied up. But Fournier is really playing smart. He's reading the defense. He read the switch well. They switched up, and then he found Gobert inside against a smaller guy. And trusting the pass is what they're doing.
Donovan Mitchell, who has 29 points, but none in this fourth quarter. And the second foul away from the ball. Ntilikina called as France with a 4-point lead and a situation where Smart will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, they're going to have to count on their defense here going down the stretch, and somehow that ball has to find its way to Mitchell.
Free throw issues down the stretch for the U.S. Popovich wants to go to his bench and bring on Jaylen Brown. At one point, the U.S. was a perfect 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Since that, they've only made 3 of their last 7 attempts. And Smart missing both free throws. Critical juncture for the U.S., unable to cut into France's lead. Smart, who has missed 4 free throws. Fournier, top of the arc, good pressure defense by Barnes. With 6 left on the shot clock. Ntilikina's going to have to throw one up and knocks it down. A long 2, they're calling it. But it extends the lead to 82-76 as we approach the last 2 minutes. An 11-0 run for France. Walker at the point, drives to the basket. And now France in a position to really make things difficult and challenging for the U.S.
Great
and an
play
offensive foul
there.
just called against Fournier.
It's a big play there. Good challenge by Walker.
Ntilikina with 7 points in this fourth quarter. Jason Tatum looking on, dealing with the ankle injury. If you're the U.S., why haven't they focused the offense around Donovan Mitchell in this fourth quarter?
Yeah, they're playing small, so it's they're probably a different set of sets that they're running here. They're trying to put Gobert in pick and roll. Maybe we'll see something out of this.
U.S. dealing with a 6-point deficit, a spot to the semifinals on the line. Mitchell to Walker, high off glass,
That's good.
and a much-needed basket for the U.S.
More movement, it's good.
Final 90 seconds remain in this quarterfinal. The U.S. trying to extend their win streak to 59 in international competition with NBA players. Looking for a 3rd straight FIBA Basketball World Cup title.
Got a pressure.
Fournier, floater, good pressure
again.
defense.
Great
Middleton now is going to control at the point as we approach the last minute. Mitchell, blocked from behind by Gobert, and a foul committed underneath the basket.
It's a great play by Gobert.
And that's going to be against Harris, which will be his 5th. He is now fouled out of this game for the U.S.
Gobert's having huge impact on the game.
Teammates with the Jazz as Gobert with his 3rd block against Mitchell. And if you're the U.S., that's the player that you want to have with the ball. Donovan Mitchell, 29 points to lead the way. But now Greg Popovich with an even shorter rotation as Brown has to come off the bench, as Harris will take a seat fouled out of this game. First one goes down for DeColo, and that was a big free throw made for France.
And you can't say enough about the impact that Gobert has had, really on both ends, because the defense is the obvious, but also his ability to put a lot of pressure on the defense, rolling hard to the rim. And people don't value how important that is to winning, and he does it relentlessly.
DeColo with 2 key free throws. France 16 of 19 from the free throw line. More importantly, has built it back up to a 6-point lead. Walker able to get Gobert in the air, draws the contact that'll put him to the free throw line for 3 shots.
Smart play there. Gets Gobert closing hard to him.
Okay, wait. Hey. Just you're sure about the 2 or 3 points?
Yes, we want to see if it's 2 or 3. You have opinion?
Okay, I don't have opinion about this.
What you can say?
Part of the great access we get with FIBA basketball at the World Cup. Brooke Lopez among those looking on for a U.S. team that is hoping to stay alive, survive, and advance somehow into the semifinals.
2 or 3 point shot in free throw. Okay. Just backwards and go forward now. Until the end. Yeah, it's outside the line, 3 points. Keep decision, okay? 3 points. Just the shooter is Kemba Walker. Just the shooter, just double check the shooter. It's 15. 15. Yeah. Okay. 3 points.
John, as you mentioned, great communication there with the officials.
So it'll put Walker to the free throw line, Tibbs, a 70% free throw shooter in this tournament. And now the key is to knock down these 3 shots if you're Kemba Walker, and then pressure defense, which has been your mainstay in this tournament, to try and force a turnover. Walker, who is a perfect 5 of 5 from the free throw line in this game.
Oh.
Steve Kerr, Jay Wright, part of the coaching staff with Greg Popovich on hand as Kemba Walker with his struggles in this game.
You have to give a lot of credit to France with the way they've played. They've played a terrific all-around game.
Walker just makes 1 of 3 from the free throw line, and now a tie-up with possession that will go to the U.S. So the U.S. will have it down 84-79.
It's a big play there.
Now the question becomes, who's your biggest option? Do you go with Donovan Mitchell, who's had struggles in this fourth quarter? Kemba Walker, do you try and challenge Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, I think what we saw a little movement too. Probably, you know, we saw the one score that we did get was really off of movement. I think if we get some movement, that's probably our best option.
Brown with possession. Missed off the shot opportunity. Great pressure defense in the interior by France. And now a foul committed by Middleton that's going to put
guy to finish over.
DeColo onto the free throw line, and now you get the sense France feeling a spot to the semifinals is just within reach. If you're the U.S., that question about who was not here gets louder and louder. The likes of LeBron James, Steph Curry, who did not make the trip with the team, instead turned down the invitation. You had guys like Tobias Harris withdraw, Kyle Lowry, Kyle Kuzma based on injuries. Greg Popovich had talked about building up the chemistry with this team through this tournament. And here they are as France extends the lead 85-79 with under 25 seconds to go.
You're making a great point.
And Middleton stepped on the end line, a turnover. And for the U.S., it may be an early exit in this tournament.
And that was the challenge for this team, is how quickly you could come together. Not having Tatum and not having Kuzma was also a big factor. But I think in the past, the World Cup has always been a younger team. And the pool has always been full of very good young players. So that'll be our challenge going forward.
The U.S. at one point had a lead of 74-67. And yet France continued to rally and chip away at that deficit.
You have to give France a lot of credit, particularly their defense. I think they started the game off with great ball pressure. And then, of course, Gobert, with the impact that he had at the rim.
A little back more, please.
Wait, a little bit back. Go in.
Back here. Stop.
Yes. He tried to reach the ball. You see, we try to reach the ball. You know, I don't think in unsportsmanlike. Let's keep with personal,
Yes,
okay?
personal.
2 shots for number 12.
And that's another difference between FIBA and the NBA. The NBA, you can wrap them up and take a foul. And FIBA, you got to go after the ball.
The foul is personal. Keep it personal. 14. Okay, 2 shots.
So to keep this all in perspective, the U.S., since that 7-point lead, France has gone on an 18-5 run. We mentioned the streaks, 48 straight in FIBA and Olympic competition, 58 straight in international competition with NBA players. You were a part of the 2014 team and the 2016 team in the Rio Games. If this score does hold up, what does the U.S. do moving forward to try to get that momentum back? Because this is obviously going to be a loss that stings for quite some time.
Yeah, like any loss, you want to learn from it, and hopefully it'll help propel the U.S. forward. And I think that you can take a lot of things away from this. And France has been a team that's been together for a long time, so they're further along than the U.S. is offensively. And so understanding the differences between FIBA and the NBA is huge. It's a much shorter game. It's a different game in terms of the lane being open. As we saw today, Gobert just camped out in the lane, and we have to understand that. And that's why shooting is so important.
So here's a look at the bracket. Argentina advanced to the semifinals with their win yesterday against Serbia. Spain has also made their way into the semifinals. Australia and the Czech Republic will battle it out for the final spot in Friday's semifinals. And for the U.S. and France, unless the U.S. can somehow rally in the final 16 seconds of this game, it looks to be France advancing into the semifinals. And if they do, Tibbs, it has to be on the play of Rudy Gobert. He was a force in the interior in this game.
Yeah, and we see how hard he rolls, and he sprints out of his screens and puts enormous pressure on the rim and the defense. Again, against the switch, hard roll to the basket, deep post up. You can see how deep he is there. That's going to be a scorer foul 95% of the time. He's really smart basketball.
An impressive line for the reigning 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. 21 points, 16 rebounds in 34 minutes of action. Gobert also adding 3 blocks to his stat line. And for France, a crucial victory if they can hold on to move on to the semifinals. Now for Greg Popovich and the U.S., keep in mind, with their 5 victories, they've already qualified for the Tokyo Games next year. And a steal nearly as Batum stepped on the baseline, and so it'll be a turnover. U.S. will take possession with the final 15 seconds to play.
I mean, you have to give France a lot of credit with the way they played in this game from start to finish. We saw it with the ball pressure, Gobert at the rim, and then offensively, the way they've shared the ball, the decisions they've made. Fournier and DeCola put so much pressure on us.
And we saw so many mental mistakes just there, backcourt violation, and so France will take possession over, and you can just tell on the faces of Miles Turner, Mason Plumlee, Joe Harris, it's a defeated U.S. team that for so many years has dominated in FIBA World Cup competition, and now it's one of those moments where you have to look in the mirror, make adjustments, rebound from a tough loss like this going forward.
Yeah, and again, you have to give France credit. They have great players also. Rudy Gobert is an all-NBA player. Batum is a terrific player. Fournier, and when you look at the impact that Fournier had with the Orlando Magic last year, Orlando was playing as well as anyone in the East down the stretch. Terrific player. Ntilikina's really coming on. So this team is very talented. Batum, it's tough. Very well coached. Terrific team.
And for years it was Tony Parker's team, and now Rudy Gobert has taken over that leadership role. 89-79, France with the lead, about to advance to the semifinals Friday to take on Argentina. There will be a new champion crowned at the FIBA Basketball World Cup as France comes in and with 0.9 seconds about to wrap up what is to be a historic victory for France as they advance to the semifinals, eliminating the U.S. 89-79. The run for an unprecedented 3 straight World Cup titles comes to an end for the U.S., who suffer their first loss since the 2006 FIBA World Championships, the semifinals versus Greece. You see that streak coming to an end, 58 straight wins in international competition with NBA players. And now more questions.